Hey gamers, today we're going to look at Finca. Let's check it out. Setup for the game is fairly simple. What you're going to do is you're going to shuffle all these little farm tiles, and you're going to distribute them out. You're going to have a few extra, of course. And then at the bottom of each one, you should randomly have put these underneath here too, are these little Finca tiles, which I'll get to in a minute, but they're underneath each stack. You're going to flip over the top one of each stack like I did here. You're also going to have the 6 Finca tokens here, which will signal the end of the game. You're going to give each person 4 little tokens. I'll get to what those mean in a moment. You're going to have these bonus tiles stacked over here, and then you're going to put out these little petals. This is a rondelle here, but the petals are removable, so you can always shuffle them, and every time you play them, the board will look different. Now, I've gone ahead and just pre-placed some of the little characters that you have here. These are your little markers here, your player markers, and each player will take turns putting them randomly around the board anywhere they want. There's really no rules on how to do this. You can have several on one, you can have 2 of the same color on one. However you want to do it, you just let the players decide. You're going to put a stack of little donkey tokens in the middle of the wheel. I'll get to what those mean in a moment, and then you are ready to play. So in Finca, what you're doing is very simple. You're just moving around this rondelle in clockwise order with your player pawns, and whatever petal you land on, that's the kind of food item you're going to get. Now, the types of food that you can collect in this game come in these little wooden meeples here, and you have grapes, figs, this is an olive, lemon, orange, and nuts, it looks like. So those are the types of food that you can get while you go around the rondelle. Also, when you cross the equator here, there is 2 little donkey symbols. You can grab a donkey tile, and what this will do, you can cash it in anytime to make a delivery to one of these places. And as you see, different farms want different things. For instance, this farm would love to have 2 grapes delivered to it, if you see that. There's another one here that would like 5. They want 3 lemons and 2 oranges. Or you have something like this one, which has 4. It just says 4 of any kind. 4 of the same kind is what that means when you see those symbols there. And so you're going to be going around the board, gathering fruit, and then making deliveries. Now let me show you how you move around the board here. Let's say it's yellow player's turn and they get to move. Yellow player gets to move as many tiles as there are people on that petal. So in this case, there are 2 people on the petal here, so yellow would move 1, 2. Now, then they would gather as many, in this case lemons, as there are players on that tile. And as you see, red players on this tile, so they would grab 2 lemons from the supply, and that would be yellow's turn. Now let me back up and change the scenario here. If this yellow player who is on figs moved 1, he would get 2, of course, but he can only move 1 space because there's only 1 person on this fig tile. And if red was not on that lemon tile and yellow moved 1 space, they would only get 1 lemon tile because they're the lemon token, because they're the only player on that tile. So that's kind of how it's going to work. You're going to move as many spaces as you have players on that tile, and you're going to collect as many fruit as you have players on that tile. Now, whenever you pass the equators, the donkey line here, you're going to grab a donkey token. You can save it and cash it in whenever you want to make any deliveries. How you would make a delivery, you just cash in your donkey token, and you can collect up to 6 points worth of fruit or food on the board if you have the necessary order. So for instance, if I wanted to do this 4 here where it's 2 figs and 2 nuts, I could get that, and I could also get the other one that's just 2 nuts, because that's a total of 6. However, if I wanted to get just this big tile here, that's 1 of each fruit there, then it would cost me 6, and that would be all I could carry. Or I could do a 5 and a 1 here, which would equal 6. Anything that equals 6. Now, if you don't have the fruit, of course, you cannot take the token on there. But once you did take one, you take it off and then flip over the next one. And that's how it would keep playing. Now, if you ever made it to the bottom of any of these, like I said, I showed you the first one. If you ever made it to the bottom, then a Finca is exposed. In this case, it says, hey, whoever has the most oranges at this point gets 5 extra points. They get to take this token for 5 points. So all players are going to count up any orders where they have oranges on them, and any oranges they also have in their hand. Whoever has the most will collect that little tile. Once that tile is collected and this farm is bare, you'll place one of these wooden Finca tokens there to show that it is empty. Now, of course, once all 6 tokens have been placed, that's going to signal the end of the game where you're going to count up all the extra points. Now you may be asking yourself, why not just go for all the big numbers, right? The 4, 5s, and 6s, right? Because those are worth the biggest points. Well, if you can collect a set of farm tokens labeling 1 through 6, you'll be able to pick up some of these bonus tiles. As you see, all it requires is that you each need to have one of each of these farm tiles labeled 1 through 6. First player to do that gets 7. Then second time someone does that, it's 6, 5, and 4. Now, multiple players can collect these. Like, for instance, if I had 2 back-to-back sets, I could cash one in for that and the other one in for that if I can prove that I have both sets. So you can actually make a lot of bonus points by doing some set collection in the game. And, of course, it makes the lower scoring tiles much more attractive when you can have bonus points to them. Now, let me talk about some of the tokens that you have here. Each player has the same tokens here. This one lets your donkey collect 6 on a run. 10 on a run. So instead of 6, you can just cash this in and you can collect up to 10 points worth of fruit and food as long as you have it. This one gives you -1 off an order. So for instance, let's say that I did not have 2 olives, I only had 1. Well, if I cash this in, then I could say, okay, I'll just change in my 1 olive and I'll get to get this 2 tile. This one lets you move one of your characters 2 spaces on its own, or 2 characters 1 space each. So it lets you move multiple characters around if you want to. And finally, this token lets you move anywhere on the board you want. However, this scratched out donkey says if you cross the donkey equator, the donkey line there, you will not get a donkey token though. But you can place a player anywhere from any petal to any other petal you want and collect the reward there. Now, there is an expansion to this game called El Razul, and what he is, here he is, he's just a little farmer here. This is just like a mini expansion, and what you'll do is you'll just place him anywhere on one of these farms, and what he's going to do is whatever farmland he's on, he's going to help alter the order of that farm. So for instance, I placed him on this one that had the 2 olives on it. Well, what if I didn't have 2 olives? What if I had 2 figs? Well, since the El Razul is there, he will take 2 figs, as long as it's the same that matches up to this. So for instance, what if I had him on the 4? 2 figs and 2 nuts. Well, let's say I didn't have either of those, but I did have 2 lemons and 2 grapes. As you see, I can now make that order. It has to match the same that up here. So for instance, I couldn't say, well, I have 4 items here, but they don't all match. No, 2 of each. It doesn't matter which kind, because El Razul does not care. He will let you, change the order up as long as you meet the same matching pair. Okay? Now, so there are new petals in the game from the mini expansion that you can add. This one, if you land on it, you get to move El Razul to any other plantation you want to, and then you can get 2 fruit of any kind. This one is, of course, a wild card. You can gather any fruit of any kind. It's like a wild card on this one. So grab any one of each fruit, or if there's 2 on there, 3 on there, 4 on there, you would grab more than that. There is the other expansion, which is called the Drought. Basically, you can pick these up. You don't have to pay any of your food when you pick these up. They do count for 2 points in the game, but all these -2 points around it, what you're going to do is you're going to remove 2 of each type of food here from the supply. So that just makes less food in the supply to pull from. And by the way, if you ever run out of anything in the game and a player tries, like let's say a player tries to go for oranges, but there are no oranges in the game, then every player must throw back in their oranges so that they may grab the oranges they need to collect. So this prevents hoarding in the game, which is a very smart move there. Now, other things that they have this little token here. This is an extra token that comes in the mini expansion, and it lets you move any player on your turn, not even your color. You can move a different player that's not even your color, and you can collect the reward, including any donkey tokens that you get. And, of course, that is Finca. Final thoughts, what do I think about the game? Well, I played this game at BGG SpringCon this past year and really enjoyed it. Folks, I'm a big fan of the rondelle system. I just love it. There's a lot of games with the rondelle that I love, and this one I love even more because the petals you can always shuffle, and so the rondelle will always be different. So each game will always feel different. You're shuffling the tiles, so the beginning orders will always be different. There's a lot of replayability in this game, and that's what I really love about it. Plus, it looks really nice. The little fruit tokens look amazing. The game is simple, easy to teach, and it actually plays pretty short. So to be honest, I really love it. Now, can I recommend it? Not really, because it's out of print. I got a really good deal on this, which is why I went ahead and pulled the trigger on it. But when I saw this game, this is one of those games that when you just lay on the board, you're like, oh yeah, I'm going to love this game. And this was definitely one of them. So I do love it, but it's out of print, so I really can't recommend it because of the price. Anyway, gamers, that's all the time I have for now. See you next time. Game on!